Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. If it gets a little windy, I'm sorry. I'm trying to film this outside as the lighting in my apartment is absolutely terrible. And the videos look even worse. So let's get to it. Have you ever noticed that when, say, a white man happens to shoot somebody, they always call it stand your ground. They start citing the stand your ground law, like immediately, right? But unfortunately, when it's a minority of any race, especially an African American, all of a sudden you start getting excuses from folks. Oh, he shouldn't have done this, or oh, he shouldn't have had a gun. Oh, why was he so quick to get his gun? Was that asked of George Zimmerman? No. No, he shot a 14-year-old who had tea and a Skittle and a package of Skittles. Fast forward to now, and Breonna Taylor, back in March of this year. Her then boyfriend had a firearm. Somebody was pounding on their front door in the middle of the night. According to one of the officers, all they did was pound on the door. They didn't identify themselves. According to the man who pulled the trigger, they did not identify themselves. According to the boyfriend, they did not identify themselves. They were pounding on the door. He asked who they were, and there was no response. And then, boom, battering ram takes out the door. He fires one shot at one officer, striking one officer in the thigh. Even though they had no legitimate right to be there, no legitimate reason to be there. In fact, the boyfriend had nothing to do with anything except defending his girlfriend's home. Her ex-boyfriend was a drug dealer. So yeah, she had been with somebody who apparently had been involved in drugs, but even he has said since that she was never a part of it, that she had no attachment to it, that she didn't even really know that he was doing it. But under the cover of darkness, they show up. So let me kind of set the scene for you. Let's say it's 2 or 3 in the morning. Dark. Somebody starts pounding on your front door. You happen to have a firearm. They continue to pound on your door without identifying themselves. And this comes from reports I read just the other day. And then they break down your door in the middle of the night, not identifying themselves, not dressed in police uniforms, and they just basically break into your home. After you fire your shot, they may or may not have identified themselves. But up to that point, you had not been given any indication of who they were. Now, I don't know exactly the location of Breonna Taylor when she was shot. I've been told it was in a bedroom or she was on her bed. Another, that she was killed in the hallway. But here's my issue. Besides the fact that the cops were not charged in her murder at all, that actually her walls and her neighbor's walls were more deserving of justice. The fact is that this happens time and again. And why? People ask all the time, why? It's because in America we've decided that police are above the law. And even though I know police officers, I in general support them when they do their job properly. What I do not support is just the wanton killing of people. One shot was fired from the boyfriend. At which point, the cops that were still outside the door started wildly firing into Breonna Taylor's apartment, thus striking her and killing her. As I said, they had no business being there. She had no history of drug sales. And guess what? They did this whole no-knock warrant, killed Breonna Taylor, arrested her boyfriend for defending her home and defending the life of his girlfriend from unknown people. And for what? You think, oh, they must have found drugs or something, right? No. They didn't find shit. Didn't find shit. Had nothing to do with her. None of it had to do with her. And at the end of it, Breonna Taylor lay dead. People ask me why I get so angry over this stuff. Why I get so angry every time an unarmed person is gunned down by police. Or every time police officers act outside of the realm of reasonableness or rationality. And I tell you right now, every single person from the start of that, from the creating that warrant, to the judge that signed off on it, to the officer that pulled the trigger that killed Breonna Taylor, they are all implicit or complicit in her death. Every single one of them. The judge should be disbarred. The officer should be fired. The officer that killed her should be in prison. Now, no, I'm not going to sit here and say I support the violence that came out of the results the other day. I don't support violence. But I do understand the anger. I do understand the fear people have. Because how in the hell can you be okay with what happened? I posted a story the other day on Facebook about it. A person actually laughed. They hit the laughing emoji for it. But to those people that think it's funny, or that there's no reason to be upset about it, put the shoe on your foot. Just flip that around just a little bit. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Somebody starts pounding on your front door, and they kill your wife or your girlfriend. Think about that. Anyways, this has been the Big Rad Show. Have a great day. I'll see you down the road.